Basically, her sister disappeared 20 years ago. I don't read for one day and all of a sudden I've forgotten everything. We're here for a good time, not a true story. The Dean or somebody named Dean, I really don't know. 400 days to read, 4 days to read now. What is gonna happen? Like, what is happening? I just get so cringed out. Hello everybody, my name's Carrie. Welcome to my channel. For this week's video, we're going to be doing a reading vlog. For the current moment, this reading vlog has absolutely no theme to it. It's just going to be mood reading, a mood reading vlog if you will, which I'm very excited for since I hate rules. Rules suck. So, no rules here, just vibes. I've actually already filmed this intro once, but accidentally didn't get any audio. So here we are again. How fun. That is why my bookmark's a little bit further in the book than it would be if I was actually just starting this book like I was when I originally filmed the intro for this vlog. But I still want to talk about it so that you understand the updates that I filmed after this. When I first filmed this, I think I was 20 pages in. I was on chapter 4. I remember that. Something like that. Yes, 24 pages in. At that point, the story had really just started. This is Forget Me Not by Stacy Willingham. This book is about a woman who basically, her sister disappeared 20 years ago. And so because her mom had kind of a fall and ended up breaking her leg, she goes back home where she hasn't been in 15 years to go help take care of her mother. While she's there, she starts digging up the past a little bit. She ends up working at a vineyard that her sister worked at right before her disappearance, and that's kind of the general gist of it. At the point that I was at chapter 4, it kind of laid the groundwork for the sister's disappearance, her getting laid off from her job, which ended up being a catalyst to get her to end up going back home to help her mom. So not much had happened. I will say I have read one other book by this author. It was A Flicker in the Dark. That was not one of my favorite mystery thrillers, unfortunately. I do think it was mostly because that book relied heavily on the unreliable narrator trope, and the main character, you kind of questioned them, what they were seeing, if what they were experiencing was reality, just because they did have a substance abuse problem, the main character of that other book. So I definitely am glad that thus far that is not a theme in this book. I know a lot of people do like that trope, so absolutely no shade, but it's just not one of my favorites. That's what I'm reading to start out with. Let's get this show on the road. Okay, so I am back with an update. I just got to page 101 in Forget Me Not by Stacy Willingham. I don't know why I always do this, but I never read the blurb. I just kind of go into a book with like a general understanding of what it's about. So at page 101, we have barely hinted at the fact that this is a mystery thriller book. Not necessarily in a bad way, but I did definitely have to go back and read the blurb just to make sure that this was in fact supposed to be a mystery thriller. It is, which, you know, cool. Love a mystery thriller. But at about a third of the way through the book, maybe just like a tiny bit less than a third of the way through the book, it could very well be a story about a woman who is dealing with the grief of losing her sister 20 years later and potentially repairing strained family relationships. So hopefully in the later 2/3 of the book, there's maybe just a little bit more action, mystery, thrillerness going on. I don't know. We'll see. I will say though, the settings in this book exquisite. I feel like somehow, and I feel like this was the same in the other book that I read by this author, A Flicker in the Dark. Somehow this author manages to describe a place without making you sit through like 500 paragraphs of description, and you know exactly what this setting is supposed to look like. And it's really beautiful. The character Claire is currently on a vineyard and living there for the summer, and I just feel like you can feel the like southern farm vibes of everything. It's just very atmospheric. I really like it. So, yep, that's our update so far. I will probably update again soon, hopefully once the action starts. So, see you soon. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. So it's a different day. I actually didn't even read at all yesterday because it was my birthday and I was just having fun all day playing Stardew Valley, actually. Comment down below if you also play Stardew Valley and love it and are obsessed with it, and it's basically your whole personality, because that's me. Okay, I think after my last update, I honestly only read maybe 30 more pages. I think I updated on page 101. Yeah, 101. I got to page 140, so not very much further. I will say, in my last update, I'm pretty sure I said that you could not really tell that it was supposed to be some sort of like mystery thriller kind of book, but in the last 40 pages, there has definitely been more of a mystery aspect to it. I don't know about thriller. The main character, Claire, it's Claire, right? I don't read for one day and all of a sudden I've forgotten everything. Yeah, so Claire actually found the journal of one of the people who owns the vineyard that she's staying on, and of course read it. And that's really cool because instead of just being like a passage from the journal printed in the book, it's actually told like it's part of the story, and it's more of like a then and now kind of timeline situation. And in the past timeline, there is, I don't want to say a mystery, but there are some mysterious aspects to it. Even though I put it down and didn't read for a day, I still was like, oh, I really want to know what happens next. I think I put it down because I had to go to bed or something. Who knows? So I'm probably going to read for a little while. If something crazy happens, I'll update. If not, I'll probably give final thoughts. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the vibes are. Okay, so it is a different day. I am still reading Forget Me Not, obviously. Why has a 300-page book taken me like 400 days to read? 4 days to read now. I know why. It's because I haven't been reading. But here we are. I'm on page 267, 50 pages from the end of this book, okay? I do see that there is an epilogue, so probably not 50 pages from like the grand reveal at the ending, but there was just like a reveal, like a baby reveal at the very end of this chapter. And I'm just not buying it. I don't know. It's not that it's not plausible, but I just feel like it doesn't tie in with the whole story necessarily. I will say though, I've been really enjoying the past, I don't know, like 100 pages of this book. It has been really good. I think I stopped on page 160. I'm on page 267. I already said that. But I'm on page 267, and so these past 100 pages have been great. The mystery plot has been really good. The mystery has been mysterying. That was so stupid, I'm sorry. And I really just, I don't know, I like the way that it's being executed currently. I feel like you're getting fed little like nuggets in this past timeline, or like the main character will find something like an object, and then the next chapter will be Marcia's diary, the past timeline, and you'll kind of like see a reference to an object and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the same thing, that's what it is, I know, you know. So it's been really fun because I don't feel like I know it's gonna happen at the end, but I do feel like I'm like unraveling things like as they're happening, probably as the author intends, but just like a little bit before it's like fully revealed in an obvious way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a genius, I'm just figuring everything out. So it's been good. I'm very excited for these last 50 pages. I really hope that things work out well for the main character. I feel like the main character deserves a happy ending, honestly. I'm really rooting for her. So I'm gonna read, I'm gonna finish it hopefully very soon, and I'll update you when I'm done. Okay, it has been like 4 days since I have actually updated this reading vlog. Oopsies. Basically, the last time you saw me, I was finishing this book. It was good. I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I liked the previous book, which I thought I might. I feel like that's all I've done the entirety of reading this book is compare it to A Flicker in the Dark by the same author. But that thriller really disappointed me, so I'm really glad that I can say that this one is not a disappointment, and I will probably buy Stacy Willingham's book next year when she comes out with another one, hopefully. The ending definitely was kind of a shocker. I feel like there was a lot of stuff happening in the ending where I was like, this is so unlikely. You know, it she successfully tied the ending twists into things that had happened previously in the book, like in the first few chapters even. So it wasn't like it just came out of nowhere. There was foreshadowing behind it, which I definitely appreciate. I hate a plot twist that comes out of nowhere without any freaking foreshadowing. It drives me nuts. So that was fantastic. I will say, still had to suspend my belief a little bit because I was just like, this kind of stuff just does not happen in real life. But you know, whatever, it's fiction, who cares, right? We're here for a good time, not a true story. What else? Okay, so I was really rooting for the character. She was intelligent, she made good decisions, which a main character doesn't have to be intelligent or make good decisions for me to like them. But in this instance, I was like, she is trying to figure things out, and she was doing things that did put her in danger, but I never was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? That's so freaking stupid. Like, she had a very clear motive, and everything that she did seemed to tie in with her motive and like reflect who she had been built up to be as a character. Again, something that I very much appreciate in a book. I cannot stand it when characters just all of a sudden do a 180 and do random stuff that doesn't make any sense for how they've been portrayed throughout the entirety of a book. So, fantastic. The past timeline, I loved the past timeline. It was, I don't know, there was just something about it, like the descriptions of the past timeline, that just felt so real. The characters felt very real in the past timeline, and you just were really like rooting for the main character in the past timeline. And not gonna lie, the last chapter that was the past timeline really almost made me cry, actually, which is not, first of all, I like never cry in a book. I'm always someone who cries after a book, you know, but never in a thriller. I don't cry for thrillers. That's ridiculous. I don't know what I want to read it yet. I'm gonna sit on it. It was good. It was not life-changing. It definitely wasn't a 5-star, but a really good thriller. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you did read A Flicker in the Dark and didn't like that book. I would say give this book a shot. See if it could be this author's redemption for you like it was for me. Okay, so on to the next one. Thank you. Next. I started reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Sorry, that clacking from my cute bookmark, by the way, but that clacking's gonna drive me nuts. Okay, so I'm gonna hold that down. So I started reading this book. I'm on page 83. I love it. Okay, already I love this. I was toying with not picking this book up. Not like never picking it up. I did just freaking buy it, but like I was gonna save it maybe for a different time. Right? I wasn't going to pick it up immediately. I pulled it in my September TBR. I guess pulled is not the correct term because I used one of those like digital TBR spin wheel things. But I ended up with this book on my September TBR, and I just was really torn on what I wanted to read next after I finished Forget Me Not. I kind of was like, oh, I want a romance book, and I was looking and I saw that this really does not have any romance in it. But one thing about me is that I am so indecisive when choosing my next read, and oftentimes I will just kind of pick up a book and then just start reading it, because I always know that if I start reading and I get a couple chapters in, or like even a couple pages in, I'm just gonna read the book. I'm usually not gonna be like, I don't actually want to read that book, you know. So started reading this book and I love it. I don't know what it is necessarily that I love about it. Sorry, the clacking again. I forgot about that. I forgot I was holding that. The mystery, first of all, Well, I haven't even gotten to the main mystery part yet, I'm pretty sure. Like, I just know that there is somebody who was present in the previous timeline. Again, another past-present timeline. There was somebody in the previous timeline who is not in the present timeline. That's all I know. And I'm like, why? Why aren't they there? What happened to them? This book is about Alex Stern, basically sole survivor of a multiple homicide. Yikes, can see ghosts. And so because of that, the dean or somebody named Dean, I really don't know actually. Hang on. I don't know if it says it on the back. It doesn't. I'm pretty sure it's the dean, though. Offers her a place at Yale to be a part of Leith's, I really should know how to say that. Basically to be a part of this, not society, but like organization. Yes, this organization that keeps an eye on Yale's secret societies while they're like doing magic and stuff to make sure that nothing harms anybody. Nothing goes wrong, people aren't harmed. So it's following Alex, and it kind of follows somebody named Darlington as well. It's really told in third person, so you don't really get like that person's perspective, but you kind of do. Like, you get thoughts that they would have. And yeah, it's been a really good time. The vibes, peak vibes, okay? The ghosts, kind of weird. And then I feel like Alex as a character so far, just the way that she's kind of talking about how much she's struggling in school, because she just was somebody without any sort of formal education thrown into Yale so that she can take part in this organization to help, you know, prevent bad things from happening. And she's just like, oh, I'm struggling so much in school. And I'm like, real girl, that's very, very real. It just makes sense. It's painting a very accurate picture of the character so far. So I'm hoping, I'm on page 80. I'm pretty sure there's 450 pages in this book. I really want to finish it today. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would really like to. And that's all. I'll catch up with you guys sometime later, probably. Okay, quick update. If you hear sizzling in the background, please don't pay any attention to that. I'm making carbonara right now. Delicious. So, I've read to page, oh my god, 163. I do not know how to talk about what has happened in this book, because I feel like you go into this book, you get the blurb on the back and learn that she's in this, that Alex, the main character, is in Yale and is part of a secret society that, I guess she's not part of a secret society, but part of an organization that helps make sure that the secret societies don't do anything crazy with their magic, right? And you learn that on the back of the book. And other than that, you go into the book and you kind of start out knowing that something happened where she was involved with, or maybe not involved, but she was the sole survivor of a multiple homicide, and there's a mystery surrounding that. You also know that her mentor is missing for whatever reason, or just not there. Not necessarily missing, but just not there. And you have no clue what's going on with that. And then there are just a few other mysteries, and you really don't know anything about the secret societies. You kind of learn about like the whole being able to see dead people and how that works. I guess not how it works, but just like you learn everything through kind of this like past timeline almost, and then like little random passages of information, and then just things get revealed as they come up. There's no info dumping. There's no like, let's build the world up kind of a thing. You're just along for the ride and you're gonna see what happens. So I love that kind of writing style, honestly, because it really ups the ante with the mystery plot line. You know, everything's a freaking mystery at this point. Like, I just keep wanting to read because I'm like, what is gonna happen? Like, what is happening? Literally, I don't know. And like, we don't know who the bad guy is. We don't know who the good guys are. We don't know anything. But it's great. It's riveting. I'm having a good time still. I think that that's really just gonna be the bulk of the update for now. And I'll update you guys again soon. Okay. Hello. I'm back to give you an update on Ninth House, which I've been reading, obviously. Hopefully. Thankfully, I actually have been reading it, yes. I do just want to say really quickly, so sorry if the audio is kind of weird right here,
My poor little mic is dead, or it's just not working. I don't know. How much did I read last night? I truly don't remember where I was at. I think I read 40 pages, maybe 60 pages. Yeah, I was at like 140, something like that. No, I was at 160. Yeah, okay. So actually I read 140 pages. Nice. I'm happy with that. A lot has happened, obviously. A lot has happened. There's been no reveals. No, there was a reveal actually. Yes. Oh my gosh, in the chapter, I was reading last night and I'm updating like almost 24 hours later. So excuse me if I don't remember anything. Sorry. Okay. So there was a big reveal at the end of the last chapter that I read, and I can't share anything about it because I don't want to spoil this book for you. However, I will say the action is great. I don't feel like it's coming at you too fast. I feel like it's coming at you at the right amount. Things are being revealed. We are at this point getting less of the like past timeline chapters. I did read a review before I started reading this book saying that the past present timeline chapters, because there are multiple timelines, it's not just one past present timeline, that was like kind of difficult. I will say I have not had any issues with that thus far. So if that's something that you're worried about, or like potentially it might put you off from the book, something that you've seen also, I wouldn't worry about it. I listened to the audiobook a little bit yesterday just because I was doing a bunch of chores, and they pretty clearly state at the beginning of each chapter in the audiobook like last fall, last winter, and so the timelines are like different semesters of the college almost, except for one timeline that you don't get a lot of. I think maybe we only got it like once so far. So don't let the timelines deter you, because honestly, if somebody's gonna get confused about something in a book, it's gonna be me. So if I'm good, you should be good too. As long as you just pay attention to the big bold thing at the beginning of each chapter that says last fall, last winter, right? The last fall timeline is like when she starts at Yale, so that's like past timeline number 1. The last winter timeline is kind of like the present timeline almost. It feels more like the present. It's where things have happened that you're not sure of, that hadn't happened yet in the last fall timeline, and you're kind of like Alex knows, but you as the reader don't know, whereas in the last fall timeline, Alex doesn't know and or hasn't experienced it yet. And then like in the very beginning you get a spring timeline, so like spring semester, and you only get that once in the very beginning, and you're obviously leading up to that like spring semester timeline, and you're like, what's going on, right? It's very vague about what's happening in that spring timeline. And then at one point you get like a past summer timeline, and that's kind of like before Alex is at Yale. So hopefully that explains everything to you. Super important information. But I feel like you're getting a lot in the winter timeline now. So like the almost present timeline, that's when most of the action is happening. She's figuring out the mysteries, doing all the things. I will say, I love Alex as a character. She's badass, and like she has so much conviction, right? She knows what she thinks is true and what she thinks is right, and that is that, right? She is not welcoming any doubt into that. She knows. And I love that in a character, especially in these kinds of scenarios where it's like somebody could be perceived as being crazy or like just a little off, right? Because she can see ghosts, other people can't. She's reacting to that. I just get so cringed out, honestly. I'm just like, oh, so cringe. Like there was a scene where something was happening and like she was in public. There have been a few There have definitely been a few. Some of them even in like the past that she's described. But one scene that was happening in like the winter timeline, and things were happening, nobody else could see it. She was in public, and I was just like, oh no, this is not good. It kind of reminded me of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I feel like I haven't read that series obviously in like over a decade. That was like a hardcore like middle school series for me, maybe even like late elementary. And I just remember like this just reminded me so much of like a scene, I believe it was like at the Hoover Dam in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, where like something was going on but none of the regular people could see it, and like everybody was like, what is that weird boy doing or whatever. I don't know, literally don't remember it at all, but there was echoes of past cringe happening as I was reading this, but it was brushed over so quickly, and then she had just so much conviction that I was like, girl, I'm with you. There's no doubt in my mind. Who cares what those other people think? They're weirdos anyways. They're normies. We're the cool people over here who can see ghosts. We're solving the mysteries, you know? So, yeah, love that. Also, I have not said this yet, but maybe check trigger warnings. There is a lot of mention of SA in this book. Just FYI. There's some gore. Gore never gets to me in books. I don't know why. I hate gory movies, but in books I'm like, whatever, LOL. There's a little bit of gore. It's not bad. I feel like I barely notice it. That might be uncomfortable for some people though, so maybe consider that. But some of the other trigger warning aspects of this book are very much like, you're sitting there and you're like, at least me, I was sitting there and I was like, jaw on the floor, potentially gonna cry. It was rough, okay? It's not the end of the world for me. Like, I can read that stuff, but I do feel like it was maybe not pretty descriptive, but it definitely could be triggering for a lot of people. So just be aware of that before you pick this book up. I'll check back in with you guys maybe at the end of the book. Honestly, I only have 150 pages left, so I feel like I'll probably finish it, get the grand reveals. Hopefully I'm gonna finish it tonight. I'm a little nervous though because I'm supposed to go to bed in 3 hours. Ignore the sunlight outside. I go to bed really early. I'm supposed to go to bed in 3 hours, and it'll take me probably a little bit less than 3 hours to read 150 pages. I read about 60 pages a minute. So I'm worried that I'm gonna finish the book and I'm gonna be wired. Like, I will not be able to sleep. I'll just be bouncing off the walls. So yes, I will hopefully check back in with you tonight once I've finished the book. That is my plan thus far.
Okay, so just finished Ninth House. What a ride. This book was good. I would say, I don't know. I would say towards the first part, I was liking it a lot, right? The first half, maybe even the first 2/3, I was liking it a lot. I thought maybe it could be like a new favorite book for me. Towards the end, I'm gonna say it's probably more of like a 4-star read for me. I haven't fully decided on a rating yet. In that range, right? It was super good. I loved the action. I loved the character. The friendship that two of the characters developed throughout the book, Alex and then one of the other characters, was fantastic, but I felt like I really wanted more of a friendship between Alex and Darlington, in all honesty. Like, I just felt like they should have been a little bit closer. I also felt like the mystery, there were like 2 big mysteries going on in this book. One of them's revealed pretty early on, and it's the fact that Darlington isn't there, and that mystery hasn't fully been solved in this book. So I'm gonna have to read the next book for that, which I am excited to read. Like, I did really like this book. 4 stars is a very high rating, but it just kind of was a letdown because I thought it might be a 5-star read for the first part of it. A big reason, besides the fact that I wish that those 2 characters were closer, and I wasn't super happy about the fact that that mystery wasn't figured out by the end of the book. A big reason that this book didn't end up being closer to a 5-star is because it felt like we had solved the mystery, but then they were like, oh, just kidding, no, something else is gonna happen. And then we solved the mystery, and then they're like, just kidding, actually we need to solve the mystery again. So it felt like the mystery aspect was just like solved 3 times, and then it was revealed to not be who they had initially thought it was, or the motives were different or whatever. But overall it was good. I will say, towards the end, while they were kind of figuring out the mystery, and one of the first times that they were like, no, that doesn't feel right, Alex was arguing about the kind of like solution that some of the other people who she was working with had come to, and it reminded me so much of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder for some reason. It does kind of give, especially in the last part of it, it really gives kind of like adult Good Girl's Guide to Murder with a main character that can see ghosts. So that's fun. I did really like the book. I am probably going to go buy the second one, Hellbent. I have heard that it's not as good, but I have also heard that one of the characters, there's a relationship dynamic that is more present in that book that I think I'll be more of a fan of. So I may like that one even more than I ended up liking this one. But yeah, it was a good read. I would actually really recommend it. The Dark Academia vibes were really present in the beginning part of this book, but as the series progressed, that wasn't really present at all. It was just kind of, oh, it's at Yale. All this stuff is happening on the campus of Yale or in New Haven, so that's why it was Dark Academia. But other than the first, even third of the book, there was like no mention of academics or really anything related to school, except for, a little sentence saying, oh, she needed to go study or she was gonna do some reading. So if you're looking for really hardcore dark academia or just academia in general, this might not be the book, but it still was a good read. Still a very good paranormal mystery. I would say if you liked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder but you wanted more adult content and or more paranormal, this would be a really good pick for that. So would highly recommend. Yeah, and I'll probably give my rating for this book at the end of this video, so stay tuned. Okay, hello, I'm back. I have been editing the video and just realized that I never filmed an outro or filmed ratings for the 2 books that I finished. I sound super weird right now. I feel like I must sound super weird right now, and that is because I'm very sick, unfortunately. I just got back from vacation and of course got sick on the very last day of my vacation, as one does. Stay tuned. I think next week's video is going to be kind of like a little vacation vlog, so that'll be super fun. Subscribe if you want to see it. Okay, so let's get into the books that I read and talk about it a little bit. I read Forget Me Not by Stacy Willingham as the first book, and I have decided that I'm going to rate this one 3.25 stars. That is not a bad rating. 3.25 stars is good. I think 3 stars is a decent book. I do feel like I hyped it up a lot in the vlog as I was reading it, just in comparison especially to A Flicker in the Dark by the same author. I liked it a lot more. I think I rated A Flicker in the Dark 2 stars. So this was definitely a much better book. However, there are like 3 mystery thrillers that I actually love and think about all the time, and this is just not one of them. It was a decent mystery thriller. I didn't have too many critiques, but again, just not a life-changing novel. Not something I'm even really gonna think about probably ever again, but good nonetheless, entertaining, and that's all you really need when it comes to a mystery
mystery thriller. Just an entertaining time. So the ninth house. This one I have been sitting on. Okay. I want to say I originally thought I was going to rate it 4 stars. However, I do think I'm going to knock it down to 3.75 stars. It was a really decent book. Better than 3.5 stars, right? 3.5 stars I would consider to be like a fairly good book, you know. 4 stars is a pretty great book, and 5 stars I would say fantastic, amazing. I truly love that book. But this, while it was good, had some flaws. And not only that, I just have not thought about it since I finished reading it. I was going to pick up Hellbent. I think I put it in my Amazon cart. And since then, I don't know, it's been maybe like 2 weeks since I've read it. Since then, I would say that I have yet to pull the trigger on buying Hellbent, and instead have bought several other books that I feel much more compelled to read before I pick up the second one in this series, including The Familiar by the same author, Leigh Bardugo, just because that sounds great also. It's not to say that I'm not going to pick up Hellbent, but probably just not right now, maybe even not this year. And so I do think because of that, because I'm not like jumping to continue the series and get to the next one, I just don't really think it's a 4-star read for me. And so I feel that 3.75 stars is great for this. Obviously on my Goodreads I put it at 4, but that's just because they don't have partial star ratings, and I always just round, right? So we're going with 3.75 for this guy, 3.25 for this guy. So those are my 2 books that I read during my mood reading vlog. I do feel like I would have loved to read a little bit more, but I just had a ton going on during the week that I was doing this reading vlog. It was my birthday. I was getting ready for a trip in a couple weeks, which, you know, just a lot of preparation for that. Just craziness at work, you know, all that fun stuff. So we only read 2 books, but it was a good time. I had fun, and it was, you know, interesting for the first reading vlog that I've ever done. It was a learning curve. So thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. It's kind of a long one this time, but hopefully y'all enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!